Welcome back to my channel. In this session, we'll be discussing on AWS public cloud, where this will be a very useful session for AWS cloud operations engineer. And also, if you're preparing for SysOps administrator, this should also help you with cracking things easily. Okay, so on the Tips and Tricks series, I'll walk you through the important aspects that I have been learning during my operations engineer role, as well as I'm also watching a lot of people getting involved in troubleshooting and struggling a lot with finding out the right information quickly. So for example, I'll give you some examples here, and then I'll also walk you through how to go and get those information quickly. I could see like some of the resources are already created, like there is a key pair that has been created. And if someone asks you like who has created this key pair, you will not be able to find out the information immediately here because it doesn't give you any kind of views. But at least like if you go to EC2 instance, you are getting some information or metadata here. But then the information that I'm talking about, for example, who created this EC2 instance, might not be readily available. Okay, and see when this was created, yeah, it should be there at the bottom. Like if you go to the scroll to the bottom, you'll be able to see like when this instance was launched, and then what AMI was, the image was used, and so on. But certain information will not be readily available here. Similarly, if you check who has created this elastic IP, or what is the purpose of getting this created, and then who created the snapshot for that particular volume, and then what was the reason behind. So all these questions people generally go and check within the console. Okay, a lot of the events, a lot of the activities might not be completely available here. So it says no events in this region. So people will be struggling to find out where to enable the notification, or where to get that, right? So the answer is all the events in your AWS account per region will be stored in CloudTrail. See, there are other services which can also help you out, like Amazon Detective, and Amazon Config or CloudFormation Dev. So those are all tools which will help you to analyze any security findings or security vulnerabilities or security related events, malicious attempts, and so on. So most of the time, as an operations engineer, we will generally do that detective role in finding out who did what, who made the changes, who created it. Even if there was a production outage, if they get to find that someone has added a particular inbound rule or outbound rule on a particular security group, here you will not be able to find out who has done that. For example, if you need to find out who has created this outbound rule or inbound rule, that is not available here. So where exactly will that be found? So you have to go to the management and governance, and within that you have a service called CloudTrail. Okay, and that is where you can get all the event activities, any security related analysis or operational troubleshooting. All these has to be done in CloudTrail. So if you're looking for deep dive information on CloudTrail, you can just go and check out for Scalabistan AWS CloudTrail YouTube video, which will give you a lot of detailed information on this specific topic. Okay, but then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you some quick overview. Just a second, I'll show you where exactly that is there. So go and search for AWS CloudTrail. Okay, so you can get that here. You can filter it down, and then yeah, if you check within this AWS Summer, you will be able to find that. So now coming back to the topic, all the information, all the activities that you do in AWS, all are getting tracked here as an event. Okay, and if you want to store it for historical reasons, for example, if you want to do some security auditing or whatever, all the events beyond 90 days will get overwritten automatically in CloudTrail. So whatever for 90 days, it's free of cost, and Amazon is giving you an option to go and check those events or activities. But then if you want to store it beyond that, you can store it in S3, or you can forward it to CloudWatch logs, and then from there you can do all sort of analysis. Even you can store it in a separate S3 bucket, integrate with Athena, and then from Athena you can run a lot of queries and figure out what has happened. So, but now I'm just going to show you the answer, how you can find out those questions that I was asking, right? For example, the very first question I asked is like, when this instance was created, or who created it, and all those things, right? If I copy the instance ID, so for all the resources, there will be a unique ID that will get created for every single resource that we create. So if you can copy that and come to event history, and I'm just trying to see the very first mistake that we will be making is this, okay? So I'm purposefully making a mistake. I'll tell you what. So I'm going and searching for the resource name, and then I'm just giving the resource name here. There is nothing here, and whatever, if you change the duration for 12 hours, or even if you change the duration for 1 month or whatever, still you'll get the same result. I'll say like I want the data for 12 weeks for an example. Okay, and still I'm just searching. It doesn't give any result. The simple thing that I'm making as a mistake here, I have select, see, when I've logged in to any of the management portal, the default region it goes is the first one, the US North Virginia region. But then the resources that I'm trying to find out are all created in Oregon. Okay, so that's the problem. So we need to change the location to Oregon to get those event details. So these are all regional services, and even the Cloud Trail as well as the EC2, they are all regional services. So those logs are getting accumulated for each and every region. See, there are certain services like IAM and S3, those are all global services, but these services are regional ones, including the Cloud Trail, where we need to go and filter it down. See, the moment I change the location, it started filtering that this particular instance has got created, and then who created it will be available here. If I scroll down, you can see which username, Stan, and I've got a couple of users like Stan and Anto have created. But then yeah, so let me show you that. See here, I've got two users. Okay, so one of them has created it, and even you can find out like if even if there are hundreds of users, you can definitely find it out here. So if I scroll down, I can get more details, what image they have used and what kind of key has been created or attached, whether monitoring was enabled at that time of creation, and it gives you all sort of details. What is the IP address I'm logged in from, what kind of IP it has assigned to it, and then whether I did it through the management console or using a command line tool or whatever. So all these informations are available details. So the first question is now answered. We got to know who created it, when it was created, and all those details are now available. Now I want to understand who changed or when this particular rule was added, or what is the purpose behind it. For example, you can also do the same thing. So you can use the unique ID to filter that particular change. Okay, that is one possible way of filtering it. On the other possible way of filtering it, you can just go to the resource, no, not the resource type, the event name. For example, what is the event that we are trying to filter down? We are trying to filter down who has changed the security group outbound rule. Outbound is egress. Egress means outbound, ingress means inbound. So there are two different rules that are there, right? So we can just go and say, try to find out security group rule. Okay, so who has modified the security group? So we can find this out, or else there is one more stuff. Okay, let me just change it to 12 hours. That should be enough for me. So I'll just check for create security group. Okay, let's see. It's filtering down. It says create security group. Okay, so I can okay, let me clear all the filters. Let me just again try to find out this. I'll just say authorize security group egress. Egress means outbound, ingress means inbound. So if I want to check the egress one, you can see that who has changed that. Okay, can just go and check. So this was created by Anto, the user, and then what is the reason he has added some description while he created it. So he has mentioned which destination the SMTP traffic should flow to. Even you can check that here. See, he has mentioned this particular IP is where he want the SMTP traffic to flow, and the complete details are available. You can find out from where he created it, and then is it through the management API or what? Okay. And similarly, you can go and filter down the event by the event name. So now instead of outbound, if you want to check the ingress rules, you can also check that. There are two ingress rules that has been added, and one of them was added by again the root user. The other one was again added by, I think that was also the root user. So this is one way of filtering by event name. And if I want to find out by a particular access key, let's say like I want to find out what are the activities that the Stan user has done using his security credentials access key ID. Okay, I can copy the access key ID, and then I can try to filter it down by his access key ID. So using this access key ID, he has created a bucket, he has deleted a bucket. See, I purposefully did that just before the this recording, and then you can see I have created a bucket, I have removed that particular bucket. You can also go and get more details around it, and you can also find out how he did it, whether he used any specific access key and secret access key combination, and from where he did that. All those information are available. You can see that it has been triggered from the AWS CLI, and all those details are available. We can also find out which access key he has used, and which user has done that, and what is the event, and so on. So you can also filter it by many different stuffs: AWS access key, resource type, and even just for an example, if I want to find out a specific resource category, let me just do this. I can just go and change it to resource type. If I want to find out, for an example, an Elastic IP, I can just go and filter it by EC2 instances. Then I can type the Elastic IP here. So you can see who allocated, who created this Elastic IP address, and when was this created, and all those details will be available. Okay, so this is another way of finding out. So all the details are here. What are the other ones which I thought of helping you with? So who created the snapshot? That is pretty straightforward. You can just go and say event source, or event name. Event name, I can just filter it by create snapshot. Okay, it's loading. There are a lot of stuffs. Okay, so create snapshot, simple. Okay, Anto has created the snapshot, and then he created it for what reason? Before this change activity, change number has been mentioned. So all these details are readily available, and he has created it from the management console. He has used the specific thing, and for which volume, everything is completely available. Okay, so that's another thing. Creation date, whether he used multi-factor authentication or just the regular management authentication. You can see the regular management authentication is true. All these things, management event is true. Yeah. What else we can figure down here? So yeah, you can find out. There are a lot of ways to filter it, and try to explore it. And when you are part of the operations team, everyone in the call will expect you to go and quickly find out, figure down where exactly the problem is, who created it, who modified it, what might be the reason, and you'll be able to filter it down. Even you can filter it by a particular username like Stan or Anto or whatever. That will get your complete filter. And another important thing, you can also go and download the event as a CSV file. If you just click on CSV, it will download all the activities that was done in that particular account, and you will be able to filter it down by your Excel sheet also. Okay, so here if you look at the events which we have exported, see all the events are created by account username Stan, right? So that's the beauty. So whatever activities he has done in his tenure, everything will be available, and you can provide that details to whoever has asked for it, or you can use it for analysis and so on. Similarly, you can also create an Athena table where you can go and do Athena queries and then use some SQL kind of statements to get the details quickly. So there are various ways to get that information. So you can filter it by event ID, AWS access key, event name, event source. For example, if you want to find out what are the events generated by EC2, what are the events generated by S3, all these things can be filtered down. And resource name, every single thing, S3, and yeah. So this is what I thought of sharing you. So you have to be very clear with CloudTrail, which is a very essential service, and you can get all the details quickly here. So whenever you are part of the operations troubleshooting or security analysis, you have to spend more time on the CloudTrail. But there are other options like CloudTrail Lake and what do you call the Athena detector, AWS config. I'll be explaining the scenarios a little later in a separate video. Okay, thank you for listening, and I'll stop the recording here.